Right, okay. Hello everybody, how you doing? We're Sairo. Well, there's a few of us more, but we're two of Sairo. And we've done a bit of a presentation around what we do, which is sort of, how would you put it?
It's our digital journey, I guess.
Yeah, our digital journey, and then we've spun into sort of fashion quite a lot, obviously. And we've sort of gone into quite a lot of detail there. If you've got any questions or you want to make any comments through it, just literally throw your hand up or say something. We prefer to do presentations where it's like a bit more interactive. We want to make it worth your time, so again, just chip in if you want.
Cool. As you can see, spin in the background. That's and Matty Hall, and that's James. James, do you want to just talk about what's your background?
So we're both graphic designers. Well, we were graphic designers. We studied graphic design at uni. Matty here in Nottingham.
Yeah, I was upstairs.
Right, really? Me down in London at UAL. During my graphic design time, I pivoted into 3D design, which I'm going to get onto. But that is very much the reason why we do what we do now. So I graduated literally as COVID arrived. Lovely time. I think July 2020. You graduated
Year after.
Right, there you go. Yeah, do you want to sort of take on your part there? Or?
Yeah, and I think me and James both met during foundation, and basically we, during COVID, just kind of started meeting up, going on walks, and I think we started talking about these kind of the issues of what's coming and how the industry is going to kind of change. And I think you were kind of saying to me, the tutors really weren't saying anything about it at that time.
No, a bit ahead of the curve, which is sort of like that personal journey and things like that. But we were thinking about careers. As I don't know what year you guys are in, but you start thinking what I'm actually going to do for a job once I'm done. That's what we were thinking about. But it was again COVID, so it was sort of that big pause moment, and it was a time to sort of do a lot of thinking. So like Mike was saying, walks. We were just sort of like classic going on walks, sort of talking about the future, and that's what led us to sort of where we are now, really.
Yeah, and what we're doing is, so we set up Sairo a few years ago, as we were saying, and basically we're building this interactive future, and we're set on this mission to basically help businesses understand what's coming and how they can kind of get into it. So we kind of blend strategy and delivery to be able to build these kind of creative solutions with this kind of immersive focus. Here's a few people that we've been kind of working for. The kind of third row down is like our fashion row. So we've done a lot of work with Republic, and that's kind of led on to working with the likes of Coach and Stephen Webster, and Walmart's going to be added on there soon.
Yeah, but we can't talk about that.
I think we've delved into a little bit of why.
Yeah.
So I'll move into the next one.
Yeah, so I threw this up this morning because I thought it'd be a bit of a laugh, but this is my perspective. Next slide's from Matty's sort of perspective, but I think we've got crossover here. The point of this slide is to basically go, I think the reason why I'm into 3D is because of games. I think probably everyone here will relate to some level of playing games to a degree, whether it's sort of like Sims, Animal Crossing, Minecraft, Roblox, all these sort of things. And for me, when I was a kid, my thing was Little Big Planet, which maybe some people know. That was sort of a game where you could sort of create, within limitations, sort of levels and experiences. And this was like in 2005, 2006. Sounds a bit metaversey to a degree, but it's certainly where I sort of started with it all. And I think it influenced me in wanting to go into 3D, just because of the three-dimensionality of it, which sounds a bit cliche, but again, doing graphics, I got a bit fed up of just doing 2D designs. And I wanted to do something a bit more experiential.
This next slide is kind of what pushed me into it. So I think my background was always art. I was always kind of an artist and really focused on, I guess, the graphical artists of the world, until I got to uni and realised, they actually offer a graphics course. And I guess coming out into COVID, you showed me this slide from your uni that were kind of showing the generation of the text to image. So you kind of were showing me these early DALL-E representations, early Midjourney stuff, in what, 2019?
Yeah, and this was like, yes, it was at my uni, but so UAL, Creative Computing Institute. Creative Computing Institute now is like way bigger. They like have a building there. At the time, it was like just a group of people that wanted to do this stuff. More so with the people that were in it in 2019, it was literally just probably a quarter of the people here just went to a series of lectures on how to use machine learning and AI. But it was apparent, this is literally a screenshot from it, just if that was the period it took to go from that to that, where is it going to be by now? And if you look at Midjourney, you're like, holy shit, okay, it is a bit nuts. The power of it is insane. So for us, coming from graphics, from a career perspective, it was like, okay, if what we do now, somebody's just going to be able to write something in a prompt and then generate it out. So why would we not try and get ahead of the curve? And that was why we sort of got into what we do now, to try and get ahead of that curve and try and build in it, so that we had some influence in it and some, I guess, power in it, to try and build a career.
You showed me some prompts of like, just, right, how do we put this picture onto this billboard?
Yeah, literally.
Prompt. And it was like, yeah, it scared me. Which kind of led us into right, why did we originally set up Sairo? So we kind of saw that the niche that we could probably play on is this, right, how do we take the physical world, these one-of-one objects, and transfer them into the digital? So what we got really good at the start was photogrammetry, which is the process or the science of stitching images together into a 3D object. So this was like an early form of one of our kind of models, working with some museums to kind of basically build these 3D objects that could show these one-of-one pieces in a new way.
From a philosophical point of view, if that's maybe not too big of a word, the idea of focusing on photogrammetry was that it basically was a 3D photograph, and we felt from a business-to-business point of view, businesses who didn't know anything about this stuff would go, oh, that just looks like a photograph, I'll buy into this. And we would essentially get them through the door so that they then went, oh, I get the rest of it now, I get that you can have all this digital stuff, I can make things from scratch, not just replicate what exists already. Little did we know that it was more difficult than we actually thought, but that is the joy of business.
I guess that this leads us into like our pride piece of last year, which was we've been working with some local colleges to basically build their education systems into what could be of the future. So this was using our knowledge of photogrammetry. We've ended up scanning 4 miles by 4 miles the front of Morecambe. And basically their big issue for Lancaster Morecambe College was they didn't have any materials around showing climate change in a local setting. And they wanted to kind of bring it to home and basically transport the students of the college 30 years in the future and show them where it could be. So this is being shown at the college in their Igloo, which is like a 360-degree screen, and on VR headsets for them to kind of basically show the students what could happen. Do you have anything else to say on this? I know it was a trouble for you to kind of get this.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. I think it was worth it in the end, but yeah, again, the point of it was that realism angle, and like I said about Trump, like it's an easier sell to people to put them in something that looks real rather than that looks like low poly and sort of like low quality almost. Not low quality, but it's restricted by technology. And for this, we just wanted to go as far as we could, and we think it delivered. It certainly got a lot of attention, and we always enjoy telling people about because they're like, oh my god, right. Obviously on the climate angle and then the actual look of it.
I guess this kind of leads us into where we ended up getting our majority of fashion work. So one of our big partnerships is with Republique, who are a digital fashion house based in Bristol. They are kind of really focusing on the kind of changing the digital garment process from the start and the pre-production angle. So they really are kind of, I guess, one of the best clothes houses, definitely in the UK.
Probably. Yeah, definitely in the UK. Yeah.
He's ex-Chanel catwalks and really has brought in a client roster that we just couldn't get. So we've kind of piggybacked on him to be his tech arm to basically take his garments and transport them into these other digital worlds, which we're going to go through in a second.
Yeah, so by he, we're referring to James, who runs Republic.
Another
James, really convenient, as you can imagine, on calls. He's got quite a sort of good range of staff now, but again, they're like the lead in the UK. There's only a few fashion houses, digital fashion houses around the world at the moment. You might already know them. But I mean, again, from a business point of view, as Matty mentioned, we piggybacked on him. So just from talking from that business point, because we're so young, we don't actually have those connections yet that you might have when you're like 40, 50. You know, from us as a business, we can sort of get those big brands through him, which means obviously builds our portfolio and gets us experience, all while being a business and being able to sort of have sort of independence to a degree. So for us, it's been a great opportunity.
The easy in that we kind of, I guess, sort of initiated our partnership was this idea of garment optimization. Do you want to just chat about that a little bit?
Yeah, so a lot of the problems in digital fashion, I don't know if any of you do Clo 3D or anything like this. Yes, you can make some like really high quality garments, but to actually put them in a space that is actually interactable and accessible for anybody here to load it up on their phone, you've got to do some form of like translation of that original garment. So that's where we initially did a lot of work with James and the Republic team. So we're talking the likes of Roblox, smaller sort of spaces like Decentraland, Ready Play Me. I can't think of any others. There was another one. I can't remember it. Anyway.
Sketchfab.
Well, yeah. So the optimization means you can put it on a web viewer and you can load it on a phone, a laptop, a desktop, etc. Not so easy with a Clo 3D file. So
yeah, I mean, we were getting given 30 million poly garments, and then having to try and make them into that one's probably.
If any of you know the technicality of that, but
200,000.
Yeah, it's too much basically for.
And that kind of led us into, I guess, exploring what else we could do with these fashion pieces that James was giving us. And one of our first kind of ins was with Monier and Coach, where they kind of offered us to start exploring these kind of, I guess, digital AR experiences. Monier's big problem is they're a digital store. They only have digital stores, and as a result, they wanted to kind of, I guess, have that interaction on their storefront where people could go and have a look at the object before they go and buy it. And they thought, let's have this kind of window dressing that we could show off the Coach pillow bag in a bit of a kind of virtual world. Oh, virtual.
Do you remember what year this was?
21?
I think I don't know. It was a few years ago, but they wanted to basically just try and do something in digital fashion, and this was like an easy entry for them.
I think what got us in with Coach was originally the Metaverse Fashion Week, wasn't it?
Yes, which was 22. This was when the crypto world had its run up, and there was a lot of money being made. And one of the things was NFTs that obviously have gone pop. But during that time, you had spaces like Decentraland coming up, and they rode the wave, and they basically developed Metaverse Fashion Week, the first one. They can sort of say that. And they got loads of brands involved, big brands like Hugo Boss, Tommy Hilfiger, we were talking about before. Who else?
Selfridges did one, I think.
Selfridges did one, and they were all sort of like in a virtual town square sort of thing. They did it right on the tip of it though, and I think right at the tip of the crypto market, and I think it started to drop just before it sort of released. Had loads of issues with brands sort of jumping ship on it, where they thought this quality isn't good enough for us. We don't want to be part of this experience. I mean, you can see the quality is like drastically different from the Republic sort of like image or the Clo 3D models. You have to really stoop down back then, still now even,
these were
quality.
8,000 poly?
Yeah, really limited. And because it's Decentraland, I mean, some of you, I don't know does anybody here know about Decentraland? Can anybody raise a hand who knows Decentraland? 1, 2 people. Oh, there's some at the back. Right. Yeah, people don't know about it, and they didn't know about it then. So the fact that it was all locked on one platform did not help the brands whatsoever with that. Just because the exposure of it was around crypto people and techie people. Yeah, if you want to.
Yeah, so we did 22 and 23. 22, I believe they had in the millions of guests. 23, they had probably in the hundreds of thousands of guests.
Less than that.
It just dropped completely. But in 23, we worked with them again to basically launch the fashion prize for Web3 creators, which basically they ended up working with 5 digital creators, I think, in the end. And they submitted garments, and then they ended up doing 3D printed handbags, I believe.
Yeah, 3D printed, full colour printed handbags. Yeah. If you're interested in that, we can show you images, but they looked pretty bloody good. They were like full colour prints and things, and they had proper sort of buckles added to them and things like this. They look like a legit handbag.
They launched those at last year's Paris Fashion Week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess just on that augmented reality journey, we ended up working on a project with Stephen Webster where he basically did a big launch exhibition for a new pair of earrings, which were, I think, they were the most expensive earrings.
Yeah, they were ridiculous.
At that point in time. There were titanium pieces with set carbon captured diamonds. So they worked with Sky Diamond, which were a UK-based company.
Synthetic diamonds, so literally just like built out of raw carbon, basically. Quite an innovative process.
And yeah, he made these amazing, like, massive
Galaxy
earrings. So we ended up creating him a space window in augmented reality where he could kind of, I guess, show off the earrings in a new way. Basically just a bit of fun in a gallery at Henny Gallery.
I love the fact you got the bit of it ripping off the wall, that's nice.
At the Henny Gallery in London. What was your experience of that project, actually?
Yeah, again, it was the same thing if they wanted to sort of do something digitally and they just wanted to experiment with it.
You did pull your hair out a little bit.
It was another hair puller.
2 weeks, I think.
Yeah, and this is the joy of being in this sort of, in the realm of this space so early, is that if you look at the sort of web space, when it initially emerged, it was hair pulling out then, and it's the same thing now, basically. Just difficulty with problems all over the place.
Again, keeping in the AR world, we ended up working with the Republic on their app, which they're hoping to launch, I believe, next year. We hope.
Hopefully this year, to be honest.
We were meant to be doing a catwalk in New York with this, but I think, again, coming back to your issues of like the technology just isn't there yet.
Yeah, the technology is not there yet. Yeah, basically.
We just couldn't get it over the line in terms of the quality that I guess the typical fashion industry is used to. So they went for, right, how do we do full garments? And I think in the end, we ended up looking at how do we enhance the physical garments rather than just create fully digital garments, to basically get the better quality out of Snapchat's kind of API.
Yeah, so if any of you know about DressX, they use the same system. DressX have been doing it for so long that they've sort of developed their own tech with it. Using just the sort of Snapchat's own tech, it's very difficult to achieve something that's like completely smooth. So when it went to the review process right at the end, the brands that were involved sort of went, again, it's not the level that we want it to be yet. This was September last year.
Yeah.
But you've got to sort of do all that development to get to that point where it is good enough, and this is sort of part of that journey towards that. The quality of this, you can see how it's like a bit juddery. That sums up Snapchat. I think you've rotoscoped it as well.
Yeah.
So the background's been removed. But this is like limitation of current phones. They still don't have enough power to do this properly. I think maybe the new one does. Maybe the new iPhones.
And there's issues around like the fabric dynamics.
Fabric dynamics, like simulation of things, how movements and things like that. Again, realism.
Yeah, I guess that kind of comes on to like what do we see next for the industry? I mean, for us personally, we're doing a lot of work in Roblox now just to try and, I guess, there's been a big shift from the Web3 to back to Web2. I think all the brands that came into Web3 realised, oh yeah, no, this isn't regulated yet. Right, how do we still do what we're doing, but in a regulated way? So they've jumped all onto Roblox and Fortnite. We're doing a lot with Nerfs and Gaussian Flats, which is a new method of photogrammetry that's kind of come out. We're doing a lot in, I guess, accessible digital fashion. I think there's a big issue around all these brands that are going in, like the Dress X's, the Republics. They're at a too high a price point, and a lot of the smaller fashion brands just can't afford that at the moment.
Yeah, so to put a number to that, we know that there are companies out there that are charging $100,000 plus to build a Roblox space to then deploy garments in. That for Gucci can afford that, but the brands below that don't want to go anywhere near that. So then they stoop down to like 25. That's still not low enough for them. And
It's too high of a risk.
It's too high of a risk. They don't want to accept the quality of it. They want way more than they're actually asking for the cost of it. So there is this bottleneck at the moment, and I think with the current financial situation in the world at the moment, businesses are having to adapt. We're having to adapt to that and try and create different business models for Roblox. Just to go back on that Decentraland point, again, Decentraland was a platform based around crypto sort of nerds and geeks. Roblox has already got that base. Obviously, if you've got any brothers or sisters or you yourselves or have cousins that are young, they probably play Roblox.
65 million daily users.
Yeah, it's nuts. And the conversion rate of, like people who play it, which is actually age range from what?
9 till 24.
That's it, which I don't play it and I'm 26. It is quite a good conversion rate for building garments in it and then selling them. How much the market was at? How much per garment?
It was £5 per garment. It's like £1 per.
Yeah, so it's basically saturated now. But that's Roblox, and if you know what Roblox people look like or avatars look like, not amazing quality. It's like near Minecraft level. Most of the industry wants Fortnite to open up, which is why we've been put Fab there, because Fab is run and built by Epic Games. It's not yet launched, but it's basically going to be their service to sell all digital assets. And we can imagine that Fortnite will probably go through that, and it will sell garments through Fab. So you'll see brands popping up on Fab where they sell digital garments through that as part of their own service, and then that might then have a spatial experience where you go into a shop. You could literally get your phone out now, load Roblox, and go on a Gucci equivalent of that. We were messing around with it on the other day, weren't we, and stuff.
I wasn't.
You weren't, I was. I think I finished a bit of work, so I thought, why not?
Market research.
Market research, yeah, playing games. But it's quite interesting seeing how they're doing that now, but the quality will improve once it goes to Fortnite. So, yeah.
And then the other two are just kind of, I guess, things that we're really kind of excited but also slightly scared about that are coming in the market. Obviously, the Vision Pro is going to be massive for us. I think, obviously, this year being launched, that's the start of their 10-year strategy into kind of VR, XR side of things. And the Vision Pro itself is, it's an amazing device.
Not used to it.
Not
even here yet, is it?
It's not accessible in the UK yet. But I think a lot of brands will start thinking about, right, this is a big commercial interest for us to start building into it. And I think we'll see a lot of brands getting into that space in the next 10 years.
Yeah, literally 10 years. I mean, if I'm not old enough to have owned the first iPhone or anything like that, but if you speak to people who had that experience, it was that really high cost initially when the first iPhone came out, and then by third generation, people are like, okay, well, it's I get it now to a degree, and that's when you sort of started to see mass adoption begin. Expect the same thing with Vision Pro.
Apple Watch, though, isn't it?
Same with an Apple Watch. Yeah, and obviously an Apple Watch is just a watch, whereas this thing's it changes. A watch is still just a 2D interface on your wrist. This is a spatial interface. This is it's the next generation of how we interact with digital sort of things, basically.
And the other one is Sora, so text to video, an amazing program, but also a very scary program. I think I was watching the OpenAI, there was an OpenAI panel about it the other day, and they were basically saying this is moving towards that AGI, and that basically the system is starting to understand this is how a human interacts, this is how a human acts, this is how a fabric is dynamically working, and that's what the AI is starting to understand. Obviously, for video creators, this is opening a new world for anyone to start creating whatever they want in video, but it's also, I guess, that caveat of it's also understanding.
Yeah.
Now.
And again, it goes back to the image that we put up, the GAN image where you could see the faces improving. That's video. Same thing will happen with 3D models. So you can imagine in fashion, you'll be able to generate entire collections just from prompts. And obviously a big limitation is obviously the cost of then going and producing those physically. With the Snapchat stuff before from Republic, they produced not all of them, but they produced 6 garments physically, didn't they?
Yeah.
And that came to a cost of just under 20 grand to produce them all physically, one of each. So the cost of that compared to just digitally creating them is obviously dramatic. Again, we showed you the quality that it is at now. While you might not get the interactivity of like really high quality yet, to be able to generate out 3D models of those same garments in record time, it will change the industry. And that's why it all leads on. Create it in that, show it in that, sell it on that, basically.
I don't want to fast forward. I guess what's holding us back, there's kind of 2 key points. Do you want to talk about the technology?
Yeah, your iPhone's just not good enough, basically, yeah. Your MacBook Pros might be very good. That thing's one of the new ones, so it's got one of the new chips in it. They're pretty good. I think that's got, I don't know what it is, but they obviously have tiers where you can get an iPhone Pro or just an iPhone. Obviously with the Macs it's the same thing. They have one chip in it that's big. The Vision Pro's got 3. It's got one big one small one, and then another small one. That's why the cost is so high amongst many other things. It's going to take a while to catch up. Your phone is still going to struggle for a little while.
But then moving towards mass adoption, it's then how do all these other countries access that technology as well? I know we were working with a South American artist, and he was just like, we can't go into some of the other more technical devices because ultimately everyone's got a phone that might be able to run a lower res game at the moment. And if we want to move towards the full fidelity of what fashion can offer, that's going to have to change.
Yeah, and again, what brands want, they want that really high quality. So,
and then the other angle is a lot of the businesses that we're working with, they only need educating, and they need to understand where it's going and what's coming. And that's kind of what we've been doing in terms of like going to presentations and just showing people what the technology can do and telling them what we can kind of explore in terms of their different business cases. Just on the last one, nearly finished up. We've just got a few kind of, I guess, lessons that we've been through. I think the big one that we've been focusing at the moment is, how do you make it a need to have, not a nice to have? A lot of these technologies, especially in the recession, are nice to haves, and people don't open up the wallets to nice to haves, they need to haves. So that's been a big lesson that we've had to go through. Yeah,
I mean, this is sort of like us trying to give business advice. We do not know it all. We try our best as we should, but we started the business because we want the freedoms of it, and we didn't want to just become a junior at some big design company or whatever studio. Like we wanted to get into it right away. So these are all the caveats that we've had to deal with through that time and trying to learn those lessons. If anybody here wants to start a business, that first one's a big one. But that is basically the industry that we're talking about right now, is that it's really not there yet. Yeah. So, we navigate it, but ultimately it's not, we're selling with, how was it that Lewis put it recently, one of our sort of friends, where it was sort of like, God, it's just gone on my head. It basically that we're solving a problem that people don't actually have yet. And that, from a business point of view, is mega important.
Yeah. Second one is, just try and have a good support network. Find your mentors. Find the people that you need around you to make it work, because it's hard.
Yeah, I mean, I was sat there, like, as you were, in an audience, and I think there was 70 people on my course. I did not know them all. In hindsight, I wish I'd sort of tried to get to know them all a bit more. I wish, as cliche as it sounds, I wish I had them all on my LinkedIn network, because if you've got enough friendliness with everyone, you will, as you all grow through life, you will find moments where you do actually connect in different ways, and people will help each other out afterwards.
I mean, Republic, that was through one of your mates.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you want to do that?
it's all worth it in the end, freedom, power, and learning very quickly. Yeah, you will level yourself up very quickly if you sort of do put yourself in positions like us. While it's difficult with your own self, if it ever went really wrong for us, we've developed way more connections than we probably would have done if we'd just gone and worked at an agency or another company. We've sort of really diversified our connections in that sense. Again, from sort of that freedom, it is about sort of generating, money and things like that. And again, we're banking on it all sort of like going big, and we're trying to get in early to get a good grab of it. That's the honesty of it. Yeah.
So the accountant one, that was actually from when I was in year 3. We had a talk from a creative studio, and basically they said, get an accountant from day one, because the numbers count, and if you understand your numbers, then you can run it.
Pretty much. As boring as it sounds.
Yeah, make sure you build your connections, and what's the last one?
What, this one in the middle?
Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, we had people when we were sort of being advised on things, it's like, don't give up free work. It's like, it's so much easier said than actually done, because you've got to build reputation with people, and you will have that opportunity to do if you can offer out free work. Not that you offer it out, but they come to you and go, can you just do this for me quickly? And you sort of go, okay, fine. We've done it, and then we've not got a reward, and we've done it numerous times and not got a reward, but sometimes it has paid off, and it is worth doing it sometimes. Sometimes,
it's understanding your limits.
Yeah, it's understanding your limits. You just don't know. Sometimes it's a red flag. Sometimes it actually is a green flag, and it can deliver something quite a lot bigger.
Like I say, it's just understand that worth and how much you want to give away for free.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you. QR code there to our website if you want it. But yeah, if anyone got any questions or any queries?
There's no stupid questions. We get that we're not probably orientated towards what you guys do already, but it wasn't our intention to fall into fashion in any sense. But we feel like we've got a pretty good grasp of the digital fashion arena now. So yeah, is anybody here interested in getting into that side of things? Wow, no. Oh, they are popping up. Okay, yeah, fair enough. Cool.
Yes, well, if you have any other questions, just come and talk to us at the end, and we'll answer anything. Cool.
Thank you.